From the basement of La Penta, this is WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe. Very good to be back on this nice Friday. 3 solid hours of airtime today. It was 2 last week. It is 3 this week. There is plenty of time to get to everything in the sports world. I'm going to reach and go places that I don't think I've ever even been today. So stay with me for the ride, and it is going to be a lot of fun. Of course, though, we have to kick it off with Cleveland Cavaliers basketball. Last night, one of the most exciting, hyped up games we've been waiting for a while, and it did not disappoint. And my only thought after the game, and I tweeted it out, was on January 19th, the Cavs transformed into a colossal giant. And they've consistently dominated all phases of the game since that time. And it's just amazing what has happened to the Cavs. I mean, we saw how bad things were going. I mean, I say it all the time. There's so many parallels between LeBron's first year in Miami and LeBron's first year in Cleveland, back with Cleveland. There was a lot of trouble in Miami. There was a lot of trouble in Cleveland, worse in Cleveland, because at least in Miami, when LeBron started off and everything started off rough, it was rough for a little while. After that, things were very good. I mean, they started rough, and then everything went well, and they didn't really go back to having things go badly. The Cavs was the complete opposite. They started off a little bit rough. They found their sweet spot. Then they had another really tough stretch, but then LeBron comes back, and it's all good. And the other player that turned around their season is Timothy Mozgov. Now, J.R. Smith was a huge pickup. He's played very well. Iman Shumpert has played very well. But I'm not sure if you could find another guy except for Kyrie and LeBron who've been more important to this team in this current stretch than Timothy Mozgov. I mean, they were just getting destroyed on defensive rebounds and critical rebounds. They could get no protection around the rim. Timothy Mozgov has given them such a physical presence inside the paint. I mean, I can't even put into words how important he's been to this team. And his mentality, too, I just love. I think he's a guy who just was desperate to play for a winner. He's such a fierce competitor, and he just wants to win, play for a team that's relevant. He wasn't getting that in Denver. He's getting that. I mean, he is so important to this team, and I think he knows it. Him and David Blatt have a good relationship going back to when David Blatt was the coach for Russia, and he was on the team, so they get along well. I think LeBron gets along well with everybody. That's just his personality. It's the way he's always been. Timothy Mozgov has been so important to this team, and going forward, it still gives them something they didn't have, even with Anderson Varejao and when he got hurt. Varejao is good, but he's not that tough, big center who's going to just stand there and he's going to make you work for every little inch of space that you want to get. He's more of I think a softer center who kind of relies more on his offense. Mozgov is showing you more and more now. I mean, he's got a nice mid-range shot, and it's not like we heard last night. It's not like he's settling. Chris Webber was completely right. He's confident in taking those shots, and he can hit them effectively. Mozgov is very, very dangerous. It was a steal. I mean, you've got to give David Griffin so much credit for the moves he pulled off, because he really gave up nothing. I mean, first-round picks, let's be honest, if you're a team like the Cavs, if you're a team that's in win mode right now, and you can legitimately win an NBA title, first-round picks mean nothing. First-round picks, unless you're in the lottery, mean absolutely nothing. It's why when the Heat traded those picks away for Goran Dragic, I could care less. I think it's a great move because you're getting a player who's an NBA star now. You don't know what you're going to get unless you're drafting in the lottery in the NBA. First round picks, I just feel like, are very irrelevant. Very, very tough to see if you'll actually even get a player who will make a contribution to your team going forward. So very interesting there. But I just thought in the game last night, I mean, look, it's really quite simple. Too much LeBron James. LeBron James, some people are saying Was it his best game of the season? And I think you could make an argument it was. I mean, 42 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. The only fault you could really give of LeBron this year has been turnovers. A little bit turnover heavy, has really cut down since he's come back from that little I mean, you could just tell he wasn't 100% right early in the season. He needed that 2 weeks to kind of just recover mentally and physically. And you could see it right now that he's just playing at a level that you just could kind of see something was off in LeBron, and he's found it now. He is just unstoppable force. I mean, last night, the thing we know about LeBron more than anything is when he attacks at the rim, there is just not one thing you can do to stop him. You saw the sideline reporter ask that to Steve Kerr, how do you stop LeBron James? And I mean, he made a joke out of it because I think everybody in the NBA wants to know how you stop LeBron James. You can't. When he's making his shots, he's so efficient. He takes such smart shots. You can't stop him. You've just got to admit defeat with LeBron. And the thing that I really like from Cleveland, though, is the defensive mindset. I just look at them play defense now. Look at them when they play defense at the beginning of the year. It is a complete mindset that they're buying into on defense. Guys are just flying to the ball. When the other team makes a pass, there are 2 guys flying to that ball. It's so sound. It's so good to watch because you wanted to see, are they buying in? I always say on this show, my philosophy in basketball is defense is a mindset, offense is a skill set. Anybody has the potential to be a good defender. You've just got to really grind it out and lock down. And that is exactly what they're doing. Even J.R. Smith has been playing better defense than he did. And it just changes your whole mindset when you go from the situation he was in with the Knicks, who are just a complete mockery, and you go to a team that is getting up to be and arguably can be the best team in the NBA right now. Completely changes your mindset. He's played very well, but it's just too much LeBron James. That game last night just really showed you what Cleveland has become. And I watch every Cleveland Cavalier game. I've only missed a couple here and there, but for the most part, I'm there every night watching these games, and I'm just telling you, from what I see, it should scare anybody because how they can beat you and how effectively, this collective group is just tremendous. And the one thing that you've really got to like is they look like they really enjoy playing with each other. I really think that LeBron and Kyrie's relationship has gotten to a point where they're just like big brother and little brother. Just watch them interact. I mean, a couple Sundays ago, I talked about it for the first time. You just look at them after games. I think they kind of get it. They know how good the two of them are together. Kyrie just playing at a different level. Defensively, offensively, we always knew what he had, but he's affecting the game in everywhere, both ends of the floor. I mean, he doesn't just, it's not, his presence is just, you can't account for it because he'll beat you anyway, involving teammates on the defensive end, making the smart basketball play. And basketball IQ is just so important. I mean, it's one thing that I've always knocked, and I do have a lot of knocks on Carmelo Anthony for us. He has just one of the lowest basketball IQs I've seen in a long time. Just situational awareness. I stress it so much because when you get to the NBA playoffs, situational awareness is the biggest thing that you've got to really be good at because there's only you're going to be put in situations where there's a possession here and there at any point in the game that could determine the outcome, especially closing out the second quarter, closing out the third quarter. And if you're good in those critical phases and situations, that just shows you how disciplined, how well coached you are. And I just like everything I see out of Cleveland right now. Now, Golden State, people are maybe throwing under the bus a little bit, but look, Golden State is fantastic. Do they have their faults? They absolutely do. I love Klay Thompson. I love Stephen Curry. But a lot of people say, do they rely too much on jump shooting, on living and dying by that kind of play? And I mean, maybe they do a little bit, but I mean, I just think they have so much depth, Golden State. They do rely on their two primary scorers, and when they're a little bit off, that makes things a lot more difficult. But I mean, overall, this is a phenomenal basketball team. Steve Kerr is terrific. This legitimately could be a preview of the NBA Finals, and I'll be honest, I would be completely fine if this was our NBA Finals. This would be just excellent because star power all over the court. Stephen Curry and LeBron James, who very well are up there. I mean, MVP is tough because I really don't know if right now you can say there's a definitive front runner for MVP. I think you've got to kind of boil it down. There's four names right now. It's Harden, it's LeBron, it's Stephen Curry, and it's Russell Westbrook. Those four guys are it. I mean, it's one of them at this point, and there's still a lot of time for one of them to kind of set themselves apart. LeBron helped himself big last night, and I think you've always got to. I always lean a little bit towards LeBron just because, not just because I'm a fan, but it's just because even with other guys having phenomenal years, there's just nobody who dominates every phase of the game like LeBron does. LeBron affects the game in every conceivable way, from a rebounding standpoint, from a scoring standpoint, from getting his teammates involved standpoint. There's really no weakness to his game. There's really nothing that you can stop him from. He could just take away any player on the court. He could guard any player. He's the most versatile player in the NBA, and you can't disagree about it. Just watch him play. There's nobody else who could do what he could do against any position in terms of defense. He just does it all in terms of versatility. So I lean a little bit towards him. He did miss a little bit of time, and that's the same thing with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has been playing out of his mind. Last night, another triple-double, 39 points, just incredible. But OKC has been losing a little bit. They did lose again last night, and he has been terrific, but the losing is a little bit tough for me. It is the Western Conference, so you give him a little bit of slack there, but he has a shot. And then Stephen Curry, again, has a very good chance. Golden State has been phenomenal, the best record in the NBA. They've just been lights out, so much fun to watch. He's there, and Harden too. Harden has been terrific this year. I mean, he's done a lot of good things, really been very solid. I mean, we always know how good he is on offense. Sometimes he's a little bit of a streaky shooter. The only reason I have a hard time voting for him as MVP is just because from a defensive standpoint, I've just never been too big a fan of Harden, and I like to vote for my MVP being a guy who dominates all phases of the game, who really buys in on both ends of the floor, and that's one thing that LeBron absolutely does more than anyone. But we'll continue to monitor this because if Cleveland continues to run away with it, I don't know if you cannot vote for LeBron. I mean, you look at them right now. They're at 37-22. They're right about it. They're knocking on the doorstep of Toronto. And let's be honest, I like Toronto. Kyle Lowry is very good. They're a very well head coach team under Dwayne Casey, but they're just not at the same level of Cleveland. Nobody is. I mean, right now, I said it 2 shows ago, Cleveland is the best team in the East. You got to admit it. I know Atlanta. Everybody likes Atlanta. Atlanta is great, but there comes a point where it's all about the star power in the NBA. I'd rather have the ball in LeBron James' hand and Kyrie Irving's hand than putting the ball in Jeff Teague's hand, or putting the ball in Al Horford's hand, or putting the ball in Millsap's hand. I mean, they're a great team. They move the ball well. They play good defense. They're a tough team to play against. But there's just a point in the NBA where it's about the stars, and that's one thing Cleveland has. They do not. Cleveland's going to continue to do this because as we've kind of progressively moved up and watched this win streak, the one thought in my mind has always been, okay, no more excuses. You've shown what you can do on both ends of the floor, blowing people out. No excuses to go back to another slump like we suffered through. You've got to continue to just grind it out, move along, and progress. They haven't turned back. They've had 2 games during the streak where it was a little rough. The game against Chicago a couple Thursdays ago, right before the All-Star break, and then you had the game against Indiana where they just lost it in the last couple minutes. They play Indiana again tonight, by the way. But I think overall the thing is consistency. They've shown you this is the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is Cleveland Cavaliers basketball. You shouldn't expect anything less. LeBron, I think his teammates, they get it now. Kyrie had a tough adjustment at the beginning of the year, but he just sees it in the way he's playing his game. He's playing the best basketball he's ever played in his career. There's no debate over that. He's just affecting the game in every conceivable way, like I said. It is very, very fun basketball to watch. I think that they're going to continue to move up. And with Chicago being out, we'll talk about Derrick Rose in a little while. You've got to really think. Every analyst kept on saying it was Chicago. It was Chicago. They were going to, at the end of the day, be the ones to prevail. But they are out. Without Derrick Rose, they just lose that it factor. They have a lot of nice players. Jimmy Butler's had a terrific year. Pau Gasol's been terrific. They have Nikola Mirotic has been very good as well. But there's just that it factor that you're missing, and you just can't replace without Derrick Rose. Chicago without him is just not the same team. We all knew they wouldn't be the same team without him, and that's the thing that we always talked about. But I'll save that for the next segment. That is going to do it, though, for this big Cleveland Cavaliers talk. It is very promising, and right now, there's nobody playing better basketball than the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're just going to continue to get better from here. And it's just going to be real exciting to see how long they'll sustain this run because, like I said, we've seen this for a long time now. They've been consistently dominating every phase of the game. David Blatt, it's just all good for Cleveland right now. I'm kind of running out of good things to say in my tweets because this is the expected norm from Cleveland now. They're showing you so many times this is their style, this is how they're going to play, and they're just flat out dominating. Very fun to watch, but stay with us and we will be right back.